Welcome to a bit of experimentation with chair yoga, and I'll try to show you different levels and ways that you might be able to approach a posture that may be challenging for you standing, but it may be approachable through chair yoga. So let's begin. I have a yoga chair, but any chair will do. And sometimes it's nice to do practices where you move the chair to a wall and you can do things there. But when we start in a chair, there's a couple of things that, I don't have my bench, but that's all right. A couple of things you do. You don't want to suffer, of course, and you can add a blanket if you need to be more comfortable. But I also like really feeling my sit bones on the thing, but some people really need some softness. So although cushions I'm a little concerned about, but still, if you've got some back issues, you can wedge something. Maybe this pillow is longer. You can wedge something back here if you need some more support. So there's ways to give your support. Plus, if you have very short legs, and even if you don't, sometimes it's nice to have feet on blocks. Sometimes that's a nice sensation. But anyway, those are little guidelines to at least start a practice with. And I'll change my position a few times just to show you both from the side and the front. But it's always nice to begin with breath. And when you're sitting in a chair, you can really find your sit bones, but then also really ground your feet. You can also put your hands on your thighs and let your arms just soften. And then you can just feel that little bit of movement in the body, and you can give yourself a little more movement to exaggerate the breath. So when you inhale, you can feel a little bit of rising and widening. And when you exhale, you can soften, really press into the feet. So it's almost like just a subtle little bit of rolling in the spine. So when you breathe, you can also make it simple by shaping the arms and bringing the arms out and then bringing them back to the thighs. So you can just exaggerate that to feel how the breath supports your movement. Just allowing the arms to help when you inhale to really feel that breath moving. When you exhale, you just bring them close to the body. And this can be very small movement. Or if you're feeling up to it, you can really let the arms rise out to the side. You can also let the arms rise to the front and feel how the breath moves that way. Or if you really want to go for broke, you can let the arms rise up to the top when you inhale and exhale, and they can come down to your thighs. So if you're really feeling energetic, you can get a more full-bodied stretch by doing that. But you can also really press those feet in and feel the core of your body as you breathe. But it can still be this very small movement with your arms. And of course, it's going to depend on your shoulder range if you can get up there. So whatever works for you, we'll just take a few more breaths like this. How we can add a little bit of movement to this is doing that rolling into the spine like a C curve. And then when you inhale, you can arch a little bit. But of course, depending on your neck, you don't have to tilt the chin up, but you can play with that a little bit and really pressing the feet into the ground. So you can either use the hands really solidly on the thighs to do this, and that'll help really stabilize your lower body. Or if you need to, you can hold on to the chair when you do that extension. And then if you're okay in the legs, you can extend out one leg as you arch up and then bring it back in. And you can extend out the other leg, bring it back in. Just wherever you are today. And if it's too much to extend the leg like that, you can just extend it low on the mat and then bring it back in. So you can slide it on the mat, slide it back like this. And if you feel more energetic, you can lift the leg. You do the arch back. We'll just do some stretches with the arms, and you can start with, this is my right wrist, I'm holding it with my left wrist, and you can just bring it across the body to get a stretch. And then again, if you want more stretch, you bring it up a little bit higher. I went a little bit fast. So you can start here, or you can start at a little bit more, or you can reach it. You know, there's a whole, half of a clock here. You can start at the bottom of the clock, in the middle there, to the side. I mean, we can almost go from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 12 if you want. Or you can just start at that 6 and go to that 5. It might look the opposite way for you, depending on the clock. And if this is the range you could stay in, then that's fine. I'm just showing you what's possible in the range. And you can stay in each of those positions for multiple breaths if you'd like. I'm just showing you where you can go. Or you can just stay in the one position. And then we'll switch to the other side. Again, you can start in that 6. Maybe it's 5 over here, or maybe it's 7, 8, 9 to 12. And I'm just going through each clock face for a couple of breaths each. You could go down the scale as well. And depending on what kind of range you have today, you can interlock the fingers and first press the hands down and see how your shoulders are. And again, this is a range. You can just bring them lower range, middle range, or if you're up to it, you can come all the way up. And you never have to go all the way up. You can always be a little forward if that's what your shoulders need. I'm just showing you the range, but you don't have to do this fully. But if you can do it fully, you can come all the way up and get more stretch into the side body as well. But you can still get some of that stretch and lift, bringing them forward. And then change the crossover so you have the opposite crossover. And you can start low because there's still a stretch going on in the arms. It becomes more of a shoulder stretch as you bring it up higher, or feeling that stretch between the shoulder blades. And just depending on where your body is today is how far you want to go. So I'm just showing you the range, and you just go where it feels right for you. And if you're able to bring the arm up, you can do a nice side stretch. If you can't hold on to the wrist, you can still drop an arm or bring a hand around your ear and get a side stretch that way. So depending on your arms, so this is one option. One option is just to have the arms by the side and really press the sit bones and just get a side stretch. Another option is hand on the ear, and another option is really holding that wrist. Still more full body, but you still have to pay attention to really pressing that sit bone down. And then we'll go to the other side. Again, the first level is just, it's more like weighting, dropping that hand. So trying to feel more weight in that arm as you start to stretch that side. The second layer is you can put a hand on an ear and get some stretch. That gives you more neck stretch. And then a third option is to hold the wrist and really go fully into that side body as much as you can. That gives me more stretch down here in that whole side hip area. And then if you're able to bring your arms and cross at the elbow, so I've got my right under my left now, but you can stay here. You can also bring the hands to the shoulder and then just play with the stretch of bringing the elbows up and down. Or you can come into full Gurudasana arms, eagle arms. And if you're really feeling good, you can bring the legs into the action. You can first just cross one leg over and sit like this and really use your abdominals. If you need to bring the hands on the shoulders, you can do that. If you're able to, you can try to wrap the foot around. It's going to take some doing for me to do that. And really come into eagle in the chair. Or there's also the option where you have a block that you can place that foot on when you come into that pose. Again, you can start with the elbows crossed and down and hold the shoulders, or you can slowly start to lift the shoulders up this way, depending on what your range is. And then we want to try to even out, so we'll go to the other side. So the first part is the arms, opposite elbow, the left under this time. Start here, you can start low, bring the elbows up, or you can bring them where you can get a stretch if you want more of a stretch, or if you can hold the hands, you can come into Gurudasana arms. If you want to add the legs, you bring the same leg over that the arm is under. You can use that block or a cushion for that foot, or you can try a little wrap if that works for you. And really you can squeeze them in and get some connection into those abdominals. And then you can slowly release that. And I don't know about you, but I feel warmth in my body from doing that. And another nice thing is just to see how you can start rolling with your head and see how far down you can go. You can just stay here if that feels right for your back. Or you can come all the way down and bring the hands to the floor. So this would be a version of Uttanasana, standing forward bent. And you can really let go of the head and really lengthen the back as much as you can. And it's really nice to just, if you're okay in the upper body, just to let the upper body flop over the legs. So you're just hanging out here. But the legs still have a little action. So you're pressing the legs to stabilize so that you can just fold that upper body over. And then slowly, and you can hold on to the chair if you need to, you can start to roll up the spine through each vertebrae until your head comes up last. And because it's just nice to do this now, just bring one chin over to one shoulder just for a little neck stretch, or just to see how your range is today. Bring it back to the center and then go to the other side. Bring it back to the center. And then it's always nice in a chair to do a twist where, in this case, I'm bringing my left hand to my right leg, and then I can hold onto the chair to really bring my abdomen in. You can also sit with the legs through the chair. The way that I've used yoga chairs has often been sitting this way, but your chair may not be like this at all. But if you sit this way, you can pull on the back of the chair and grasp your hand like this. So it's really nice to use a chair like this if your chair is so designed. But if your chair isn't designed that way, just do it like I showed you. Just have to move around. You can just do it this way. And depending on your chair, you could just put the arm on the top bar here, if that's the way your chair is designed. And then come back to the center. So I'm trying to show you the variations at the same time as hold the pose. So you have to find what's comfortable for you. So I'm taking my right hand to my left leg, and I can either hold on here, or I can put the forearm on top of the bar and press my hand here and get a bit of a twist in the spine. And then come back into center. And there's a lot I've done with chairs over the years with standing poses as well, which is kind of interesting. But one thing you can do is you can bring the legs out wide, and it's almost like that posture that we sit in, legs wide. And you can either leave the heels on the floor. We're just trying to open the inner thighs here. And if you've got more energy, you can really press through the heels and bring the hands here. And so that's just going to take more effort. And then you can release the legs. Just make sure that your thigh bones are in line with the knee, with the shin, with the ankle, and the feet. You don't want to be, rolling too far in or rolling too far out. So we'll do that again. You can start with the hands on the hips. You can bring the heels out and just flex them there. There's still a little bend in my knees if I'm just flexing there, but in order to straighten the knees, it just brings them off the floor. But you have to pay attention to whether that works for you or whether it doesn't. And then just bring those knees together. And depending on your body, you can either hold the leg here with the hands underneath, and maybe this is as far as you go. If you want more, you really engage the leg, and you can bring the hands around the front, and you can really pull that knee in. Now at the same time, you're trying to have as much lift in the spine. You're not trying to sag back here to do it. You're trying to still have lift in the spine when you bring that knee in. And it's always better to bring it towards the shoulder and not too much squished into the abdominal. But again, you can just start here and hold the leg here. And it can be even lower. I mean, if you have trouble, you can just start there, foot off the floor. And then release that foot down. We'll do the other side. So again, you can start by bringing the hands under the thigh and just holding the leg. And again, you're trying not to fall back. You're trying to still sit up. And if you can go further, you can always interlock the fingers in front of the shin. And really bring that towards the chest or the shoulder. You're trying to bring it towards the shoulder, really. And then you can bring that down. And then, depending on your hips, you can bring the ankle close down to the knee, so it's on the bottom of the shin. And depending on your hips, your knee may be here, and that's okay. And then you can slowly come forward just wherever the stretch works. I kind of like putting my hand on my foot and one hand on my thigh. But if you had blocks, you could also do this with hands on your blocks. You might have a bench at home or something that you can use. But we're stretching out this sacrum and back hip. And you just go to where it works for you today. You're trying to still keep that sit bone onto the chair. And then you can come up and bring that leg down and bring the opposite leg up. My knee just gave me a nice little crack. And again, each side might be different, and you can start with just the hands on the thighs and come forward. Or like I said, I like putting my hand on my foot and doing that. Or if you had the blocks. So whatever works for you. And then slowly come up. And then we'll just try a little play with some standing poses that may not work too well. But what's fun about a chair is you can bring one foot forward and one foot back like you were in warrior 2 position. So just make sure that you're working that leg. And some of the problem is some people are too big or too small for a chair. But you can do a modified warrior 2 here. And of course you can just keep the hands down or on the hips. If you want a little bit more work, You can extend through the arms. And I used to teach this a lot in pregnancy classes, using the chair for standing poses because of the changes going on in their body. So you have to be very careful with your legs when you come out of the pose. And then we'll switch the legs. So you might have to adjust yourself in the chair. And then this leg, you want to make sure that the shin and the knee and the ankle are over each other. And then it's just a matter of trying to extend through that back foot. May not be, or back leg. The nice thing about the chair is it can really support that inner thigh. And then you can bring the arms up and come into a warrior or a modified warrior 2 pose. Or you can just leave the arms down if it's not feeling right. You can slowly release the legs and bring them forward. That might have been a lot, but we'll try Parsvakonasana that way as well. So the base of the pose will be the same. So we'll take that right leg forward and then extend through the left one back. Then you bring the forearm onto the leg, and then the top arm can come up and over, or just stay. And just totally stay here. Or you can extend the arm to really engage that shoulder. Bringing the arm up and over might really help you feel into that whole line of extension and energy from the foot up through the fingertips. But this is only if you're able to get there. That might have been in the too hard basket. So, I mean, you can always just start here with the leg bent, the back knee can be bent a bit, and you can try and adjust your body here and do it in a modified way, or just lean that arm out if you're having trouble with the back leg. So just modify it for what suits you. And then we'll bring the legs back together and try it on the other side. So it seems like the easiest way to get into it, I'm just holding onto my chair and I put that foot down and I've got the shin there. And then I just extend through that back leg. Of course, I've had experience with this, so that's why it's not so hard. But if you need to modify it and have a little bit of bend there, that's okay. You can kind of play around with just bending and straightening that leg. That's kind of a nice way to go with this pose. If you're able to straighten it, or even if you're not, you can still bring the forearm down. And you can stay here with the arm long or the palm facing forward, or just the hand down. Or you can try the arm up and feeling that full side stretch through that right side up to the fingertips. That's so funny. I just got a little crack. So obviously these positions this way work in some way. So we'll come back to sitting just to notice. Just come back to sitting on your sit bones. Just notice how your body is as we've tried those few things in a seated position. Again, you can stay here. You can hang here, or if you want to stand up, you can do a modified standing forward bend with the chair, because you've got the chair here to support your head. You can even bend the knees here and just hang here with the head here. It's a really nice feeling. So again, the options are standing with straight legs hanging out here, having bent knees, or just staying seated and doing what we did earlier, just hanging out here. So, whichever pose you're in, take a few more breaths and then slowly release that. And then we're just going to have a little play with chair balancing poses. So if you can bring your right leg up and bring the first two fingers and the thumb and just hold that leg there. If you need to have it lower, you can have it lower. If you want a little bit of a challenge, you can try to straighten the leg forward, or you can just leave it here, you know? You can just have that arm there and leave it there. But if you want a challenge, you can bring it up. And wherever you are, you can open the hip to the side. And if you had it straight, you can just open it straight to the side. Again, try to stay vertical in this pose, but you can also just have it bent like this. So we're just opening through the hips, but also really bringing that shoulder blade into down towards the hips. And then just bring that in and put that foot down. Just thought it would be fun to try something perhaps a little more challenging. And then you can bring the other foot up, hold it with the first two fingers and the thumb, and you can just stay here, you know, just have it low wherever you can reach it. Again, there is modifications where, you know, you hold the leg as well. But if you can hold the big toe, there's just, I don't know, a nice feeling, a nice sensation of taking a hand and holding that big toe. There's just something that feels good about it. And most of us can't do some of those real full standing poses where we do this, but we might be able to do it sitting. So the second stage is just bending the knee, bringing the foot up higher. And then if you want to go further, you can extend the leg in front of you. And then you can open to the side. If you're still bending the leg, then you just open, but you keep that opposite side really stable. And just bring that leg forward if you've lifted it. If you haven't, you just keep the knee bent and lift it forward. And then just bring that down. And then maybe just do a little bit of, you know, shaking out. We've done a little bit of work through the chair. And again, just notice, just really place the feet on the floor, sitting in the sit bones. Just notice how your body is, how your breath is, what's your stability like. And then I hadn't really thought about how to wind down with the chair, but I can show you a few options. You know, you can stay seated in the chair, seated, Well, you can stay in the chair if you want. And then I'm just trying to think of a good way to relax. You could lean back, maybe holding the back of the head. Just let the chair support you. It won't be very comfortable for very long. If you are capable of going down to the floor, then you can come down to the floor and bring your legs up on the chair and get some support, like a supported Shavasana. So if that works for you, great. Another way that can be helpful if you need a resting pose but you don't want to lie on the floor is you can sit on a cushion or a block. And if you're okay to sit in kind of an easy cross leg, you can sit an easy cross leg and just use the chair for head support. And that can be a nice restful position. And if you choose to do that, you'll need to change the legs. I mean, if you have problems with the hips, you could also, take little cushions to give yourself a little more space. And then just bringing the head down for that. So there's, I guess, about 3 choices I've given you. So do which one works for you, because I'm not sure how you can, still sitting up in a chair, really get into kind of a Shavasana-like place. I mean, it could be that the easiest thing to do is just to maybe bring the feet a little bit wider and hang forward, if you can do that for a few breaths. So it's more like this. And whatever you choose to do, just do it for as long as it's doable, comfortable, wherever you are. If you can be in full Shavasana, it's really a lovely experience, but you have to tend to your body. You really need to take care of yourself and what suits you at this time. So just notice how the breath is moving in and out of your nostrils, in and out of your body. See if you can find the support with gravity. If you're using the chair, finding the support with the chair. To allow your body to soften. You notice that there's an area of your body that's kind of holding a bit of tension. See if you can take your breath there or your imagination into that space, so that when you inhale, the skin stretches in that area. And when you exhale, the skin begins to soften. Do a few rounds like that, either taking the breath there or taking the imagined breath there. When you inhale, the skin around that area stretches, fills like a ball or a balloon. And then when you exhale, it becomes deflated and it softens that whole area. We'll do one more round in that area. When you inhale, it feels like a balloon. The skin is stretching like a balloon or a ball. And when you exhale, the air goes out and it all softens, shrivels up, becomes smaller. And notice in your face, if you're holding any tension in your jaw, chin, eyes, ears, and forehead. See if you can soften the whole face back to the ears and the back of the head. Remember, yoga is not a destination. It's not perfect. It's a practice. So it's finding how you can practice, what you can practice. Not that end product of perfect. And then slowly begin to reawaken your body. Bring in a little bit of movement to your fingers, your toes. Maybe you do a stretch, whatever position you were in. Want to slowly transition your body up to sitting. Thank you for trying a whole new moving with the chair experience. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.